Hello YouTubers and welcome to another Doctor Who episode review video. In today's review I will be looking at Remembrance of the Daleks from season 25. Yep. Okay, so what to say about this story? Well, it's a bit rubbish really. Yeah, it's absolute crap. I don't understand why it's so popular and why people like it so much. And yeah, it's probably one of the worst Dalek stories I've ever seen. I'm just pulling your leg. See, thought I had you there. No, it's very good. Very, very good story. Lots of lovely explosions. Quick, fast-paced. Good characters. Excellent script. Script was brilliant. Ben Aronovich. Yeah, superb. Yeah. Well done, sir. You know how to write the Daleks. So, yeah. Remembrance picks off from where the last season essentially leaves off. However, we're going into this in a slightly more approached mode. And what I mean by that is that McCoy's character, if you see him in stories like Paradise Towers and Dragonfire when he's being a bit silly and this sort of comedy clown that he is playing, his character changes dramatically from changeovers to Dragonfire to Remembrance. And I think there's a reason for this, and I think the reason being is that you got the Doctor, a character that's been travelling around time and space for 25 years, and there's this mystery behind him. We still don't know who Doctor Who is. It's been 25 years. We've been, asking that question, and I think, he just turns up out of the blue. And I think the question there being from the very beginning of episode 1, where you see him and Ace interacting, is the question you need to ask yourself. The question you need to ask yourself as a viewer is, why does he turn up? And I think this is portrayed throughout all the stories within season 25. You've got to have a sense of place, and the Doctor has a purpose in the places that he's in all the stories in season 25, and indeed in season 26. And there's nothing more than I get an enjoyable kick out of than watching a 7th Doctor and Ace story. I mean, I do love McCoy's Doctor an awful lot. I mean, Sylvester McCoy is my second favourite Doctor after John Pertwee. And my only problems with the McCoy era are Only Time in the Rani and Silver Nemesis. I love season 25. I love season 26. So going into Remembrance, well, I've watched this many times before and always enjoyed it, and my feelings for it have never really changed over the past coming years. I mean, I remember watching it and thinking, it just goes so quickly. I mean, you watch this story and you think, gosh, can't believe we just sat through 4 25-minute episodes. Very quick, and very fast-paced as well. It's very pacey. There's no sense of, the story slowing down or the story being slowed down, or constant dragging. It's very pacey and very action-packed. It's very Michael Bay. There's lots of action and explosions happening from all over the place. So yeah, and you can watch this story and not get bored. That's what I love about it. I mean, I get bored pretty easily. But you go into Remembrance and you think, whoa, this is brilliant, I'm loving this, I am entertained. So I'm just going to go through the synopsis of what makes this story so great. So Doctor and Ace, they turn up at Cohill School, and they get involved in these military people whose name I forget the name of, but it's not UNIT, because UNIT hadn't been invented by this point, not in 63. So yeah, so there's the military people, and they are involved with Well, they're investigating, although they don't quite know what they are investigating until the Doctor comes along and sort of, and seeing that Dalek in the junkyard just confirms what they're up against. So the minute you have that action sequence with the Dalek, you'll know full on that it's the Daleks. So yeah, they get involved with these mental people who are investigating the Daleks, and the whole point of this story is the Doctor has there are two sets of Daleks that are playing essentially the same game in wanting to get control of the Hand of Omega, or in other words, the Stellar Control Manipulator, which the Doctor has, and the Doctor essentially wants the right. He wants the Daleks to have it, but he wants the right set of Daleks to have it because he didn't anticipate them being two Dalek squadrons here at the same time. So he has to ensure that the wrong set of Daleks don't get their plungers on it. Basically, you've got a story which is flooded with continuity references. There's just the story's full of them, which is fantastic. Obviously you've got the Daleks, which have been part of Doctor Who as long as Doctor Who can remember. They've been in it since they've arrived in like week 6 of the original show coming out on TV. So they've been in it as long as the Doctor has, more or less. And yeah, so you've got the Daleks, an asset to Doctor Who's history and the best Doctor Who monster. Then you've got references to various other Dalek stories, like Planet of the Daleks, when the Doctor takes up the machine. Forget the name of the machine. The immobilizer machine, I think he uses, and he's like, oh, I use something similar to this on Sparadon, which is true. The Doctor used the cassette. John Pertwee used a cassette player to immobilise the Dalek, which is quite funny when you look back and watch it. There's references to An Unearthly Child, obviously with Coe School, and 76 Totter's Lane. There's the French Revolution. There's the French Revolution book, which you see Susan having in episode 1, when she the scene when she looks through it and she goes, "Oh, that's not right." What else? Well, there's references to Terror of the Zygons and The Web of Fear, and they're just I love it because there's other references such as an actual Doctor Who reference within the programme, although it's not really signified to being that, because you just cut to a television and it's like, now on BBC One, the start of a new science fiction series, Doc, and then you just cut to the next scene. I love that. I think that's really cleverly placed, and it's not signified to being Doctor Who. It could be Doctor Simon or Simmons or whatever. It could be anything. So yeah, and of course the Bernard Quatermass reference. And there's references to like different characteristics in other characters. For instance, the woman Rachel looks a bit like Barbara Wright, and she's been dragged all the way down from Cambridge, like the Liz Shaw character. Yeah. So this story is flooded with continuity references all over the place. Which I think is quite nice, because when you're doing an annual anniversary season, you're probably going to want to include various bits like that. And I like it, and I like the way it's placed in the story, because they're not constructed. It's not constructed in such a way that you have to have seen those stories in order to get them. it's all pretty clear, and very, very clear, and they're just nice little nods to reward people who have watched the series for the last 25 years. And if you compare it to something like Silver Nemesis, which is the actual 25th anniversary story, Remembrance would have been a better 25th anniversary story, because it's just a hell of a lot better. And there's just more stuff going on. Very well directed, because obviously many Doctor Who's can be challenging, and this one was extremely challenging. And there's only so much you can cram into 4 25-minute episodes, and everything is just very properly placed and very clear. And you've got, well, the acting is just superb, because you've got great guest casts coming in to play some roles. For instance, you've got Michael Sheard playing the headmaster of Cohill School, and he is an asset to Doctor Who at this point, because he's been in so many stories. He was in Ambassadors of Death. He was in The Mind of Evil. He was in Pyramids of Mars. He was in Invisible Enemy. He was in Castrovolva. He's been in so many stories. And it may interest some people to know he was actually playing a headmaster in Grange Hill at the time. So I think that's partly the reason why he got the gig, because people would recognise him as the headmaster in Grange Hill, and obviously he'd be playing a headmaster in this, but in a different context. And it is a bit of a shame, especially now he's sadly passed away. He never got to be in the new series, because I think that would have been nice if he had been in more or less every single era of Doctor Who. But never mind. I tend to believe that what will be will be. And you've also got Peter Halliday playing the Reverend. He's only in one little scene, but we can recognise Peter Halliday from stories like The Invasion and Carnival of Monsters. I have a weird feeling he was in The Deadly Assassin, but I'm not sure. There's not really a lot to correct with this story, because I didn't necessarily go out of this looking for good bits, because I know that I enjoy it no matter what, and it's a genuinely liked story. If I am going to pick out necessary bad bits, I would probably say there was a bit of a shit joke in this when the Doctor goes to the Group Captain Gilmore, who is the Brigadier role of this story. When he arrives and he first meets Group Captain Gilmore, and he's like, "Oh, I take it you're with the military. How did you know? I'm very perceptive." I was like, and how can you be very perceptive? There's all these military people running around the place, and I'm pretty sure that was deliberately intended as a joke. That the Doctor sees all these military people running around, I take it you're with the military. Oh, how did you know that? Oh, how did you know that I was with the military when you can clearly see that there's all these military people running around? The Doctor just go, "I'm very perceptive." Doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of the context of what's going on in the story. It's in between 2 Imperial Daleks and 2 Renegade Daleks and 4 Imperial Daleks, and these Imperial Daleks are a crap shot. They miss every time, and these 2 Daleks blow up 2 of the Imperial Daleks, and the bit predecessing it, when they retreat, when they pussyfoot out of it and retreat, and the Dalek on the love sheet, "Oh, Dalek Imperial forces have encountered heavy resistance." What? What do you mean heavy resistance? There's only 2 of them. There's 2 of them. There's 4 of you, and considering that the Imperial Daleks are meant to be these bigger, better, brighter, more effectively destructive Daleks, and they get blown apart by these two renegades. Yeah, that's just silly, and that's just stupid, and doesn't make a lot of sense. There are some fantastic effects, visual effects is what I want to talk about now. Well, the first one has got to be the Dalek going up the stairs, and the way it would usually work is, take my finger for example, and the Dalek is between, and the Dalek would just go up like, and the Dalek is between, and the Dalek would just go up like that. I think it took about, it was like on a plate or something, like a wooden plank, and it took 10 men to actually get the Dalek to go up the stairs because it was very heavy. But still, it's a very good effect. You know, seeing a Dalek go up the stairs, it's something new, and I used to hate it when, after Dalek aired, and people at school used to turn around and go to me, hey Dan, Daleks can go upstairs now, eh? I was like, yeah, they've been able to do that since 1988. Really? But yeah, so all I can say to that is, screw you, Russell T Davies. Remembrance did it first. And yes, as I say, the explosions are very good. For instance, the special weapons, all the stuff with the special weapons Dalek. I love the special weapons Dalek. It's one of my favourite Daleks. Well, you get we get the first shot where it blows up two of the Imperial Daleks, and then you get another shot in the junkyard, in the yard, when it blows up the gate. And for that, and you know, those effects are absolutely brilliant for the time, and you know, for the guy who does the special effects for the new series to say, oh yeah, bit over the top, no. Just because you want to do it and you can't. I think that's just pure-minded jealousy. Just to go, oh yeah, bit over the top. What? Shut up. You'd love to do that. Although I have to say, my absolute favourite scene is the scene where the Doctor goes into the cafe, and he orders a cup of tea, and he's talking to this chap behind the counter, and they're having a little chat, and it's just Sylvester and this other actor talking about sugar, and you know, talking about sugar and how decision creates ripples, like a boulder dropped in a lake and it's skipping across the banks of the lakes, and you know, the bigger the decision, the larger the weight and more uncertain the consequences. I absolutely love that scene. It's one of my favourite. It's in my top 5 Doctor Who scenes. I love that scene so much. It's very well directed. There's no music. It's just Sylvester and this other guy talking, and yeah, just I love that scene so much. From every last detail, the story is near perfect. It's in my top 10 favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. Right, so I've got to rate this now. I would probably say that Remembrance of the Daleks is worth a good 9 out of 10. And I'm only saying that because there's only 3 stories in Doctor Who's history that I give a 10. And you know, though Remembrance is a really fucking awesome story, it has its failings in parts, and there are some bits which I would change or do differently. I mean, sometimes it is a 10, and you know, true. My sister Sophie, I was talking to my sister Sophie about it, about, you know, would you ever give a story 10? And true, she did give Blink a 10. But you know, there are. I mean, some people do have. You do have favourites, and you do have your own flavour of stories. But yeah, it is. If you're giving a story a 10, you need to give it a 10 for the right reasons. Even a story like Pyramids of Mars, which is an absolutely superb story, I have problems with it. I have big continuity problems with it. You know, with Tom Baker's hat in the wrong place, and you know. But anyway, so yeah, Remembrance of the Daleks, I'm going to give a 9. Although in better moods, I'd probably say 10. But no, 9 is main score. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I'm sure that I've missed some things out, but anything that I've missed out that you think I should talk about, then by all means leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you when I can. If you haven't seen Remembrance of the Daleks, go out and buy it on DVD. Excellent story, one of the best. And yeah, really good indeed. So yes, the next video is going to be a discussion video where I put various subjects to a discussion, basically, where I just talk about certain things, because I personally want to talk about cliffhangers in Doctor Who, and missing episodes from the Hartnell and Troughton era. So if you have any ideas of subjects to talk about, leave a comment below, and I'll see if I can get back to you, so I can address them in the video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in my inbox. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you in my discussion video.